Arsenal are through. Arsenal are through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And you might be asking, why am I saying that so confidently? That is why. Arsenal go away to PSV Eindhoven in the first leg of a two-legged round of 16 tie and absolutely stuff them by 7 goals. 7-1 victory. They are into the quarterfinals of the Champions League where they'll either play Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid. And it's that simple. Arsenal into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. But guys, if you're new here, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment under the video about what you think of the Arsenal performance. But look, I think some Arsenal fans are going to be happy watching this video because, as you can see behind me, you've got a picture of Ivan Perisic, who's obviously a former Spurs player, and you've got Ethan Nwaneri, who's probably the hottest prospect coming out of Haaland since Bukayo Saka, and scoring 7 goals, and you've got a Tottenham player playing on the other team. I'm sure Arsenal fans will be loving that, especially that graphic. But no, you have to be honest with guys. We have to be honest, and we have to call it for what it is. Arsenal were brilliant, and Arsenal were dominant, and 7 goals is, reflects that dominance. And I think for Arsenal, their main concern has been the inability to score goals, especially in decisive moments. But 7 goals away from home, you can't get more decisive than that, especially when you're missing Saka, Martinelli, you're missing Havertz, you're missing Jesus. But the players Arsenal stepped up, scored brilliant goals. You got Trossard, Odegaard scoring. You got twice. You got Nwaneri scoring. You got Calafiori scoring. Marino scoring. A brilliant, dominant performance from Arsenal. And you have to say it reflects very, very well on Mikel Arteta, because all the scrutiny has been around Arsenal not being able to score goals. Scoring 7 away from home shows how good of a side they can be and how dominant they can be, especially when they're on their A game. And look, I think Arsenal needed a result like that, especially for Mikel Arteta. Like I said before, all the eyes have been on Arsenal, especially their inability to score goals in decisive moments. But today was a reflection of how dominant they really can be when they're at their very, very best. And to be fair to Arsenal, there were a few hiccups that they had in the game, especially in the first half, early on before they scored their first goal. Sabani, I think his name is, hit the crossbar for PSV Eindhoven, which should have put them 1-0 up. And from that break, from that pattern of play, Arsenal go down the other end and score with a Declan Rice cross into the back post to Jurriën Timber, who heads it in for 1-0 Arsenal. A Dutchman against PSV Eindhoven, a former Ajax player, so it must have felt good for Jurriën Timber, especially all the injuries that he's had, all the injury problems he's had. And scoring your first Champions League goal for Arsenal does obviously, against a team that, are rivals of Ajax, must have felt very, very good for him, especially being a Dutchman himself. But look, when Arsenal got the first goal, you just knew that they were going to get 1, 2, and that's what they did. It happened so quickly for Arsenal. It was a reflection of how dominant they can be on the pitch and how brilliant they are. Obviously, Nwaneri with another brilliant goal. And I think he becomes the 3rd youngest goal scorer in English goal scorer to start a Champions League game in the history, behind Foden and Bellingham. And that shows how ridiculous he is. And I think that's the first time in Champions League history that 2 teenagers have combined for a goal. 17-year-old Miles Lewis-Skelly and 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri. And it's mad because they're 2 best friends scoring and assisting each other in the Champions League round of 16 quarterfinals, but they are going to be there. And it just shows that, the future is bright for Arsenal. They've got some really, really talented players, Nwaneri, Lewis-Skelly. Obviously, they're showcasing their own abilities. But just on Miles Lewis-Skelly, and I know he's been in the headlines a lot, and I'm not going to, say anything bad about him because I think he's a really, really good player. But there was a little hiccup that he had. So Miles Lewis-Skelly made 2 challenges in the space of like 2-3 minutes. No, 5 minutes or so, I'd say. He was given a yellow card for the first one. The second one, he wasn't given a yellow card. And a lot of people are debating that if he wasn't given a yellow card for the first challenge, he would have got a yellow card for the second one. So if he had made the challenges, like if he didn't have made the first challenge, he made the second challenge, and he didn't make the first challenge at all, he would have got a yellow card for the second challenge. But because he had already made a challenge and was booked literally like 2 minutes before, he obviously then was not given a yellow card, even though they were both yellow card offences. Obviously, Mikel Arteta quickly identified this. He goes, well, this could be a bit of a problem. He's already been sent off twice this season. I don't need the 3rd time. And substituting for Calafiori, who ended up getting Arsenal's goal as well in the 86th minute or so. So it worked out well for Arsenal. And obviously getting goals with Nwaneri and then obviously Mikel Merino. Again, another controversy about that. But Arsenal do get the third goal. PSV very, very bad defending, and they go into halftime 3-1 because Noah Lang did get a penalty. Thomas Partey grappling somebody in the box, the PSV player, and Noah Lang absolutely thrashing the ball into the back of the net. Now, PSV were on top at the end of the second half, and you thought maybe this could maybe be a chance, but again, Arsenal scored like 2 goals, 3 goals, and like they got Odegaard scored, then you got Odegaard scoring, Trossard scoring again, then you got Odegaard scoring in the 70th minute, and they just were in cruise control. Arsenal for the large majority of that second half, they were basically kicking the ball around like they were having fun, and PSV didn't really lay a glove on them. And look, a few pop shots, a few Raya saves, but nothing of significance. And Arsenal were just dominant, and I think, like I said before, I think they needed this win, especially because everyone's been pointing the fingers at Arsenal's attacking players, the lack of attacking players that they have. They have to play a midfielder up front. They're playing a teenager out on the wing. And 7 goals, especially not scoring. They've not been able to score in 3 of the last 4 games. So I think this was very, very important for Arsenal that they were able to score that many goals. And it kind of, lays the, people are going to lay off them a bit more now. And not, the eyes are not going to be on Arsenal's attackers as much as they were probably beforehand, and the significance on that is not going to be as significant. And I think you look at the Arsenal team, they needed that. They did need that, especially losing to West Ham and not scoring in that game as well would have been a real blow to them. And obviously getting a 1-1 draw at Nottingham Forest. I think it was 0-0 at Forest, actually. 0-0 at Nottingham Forest. And I think for Arsenal, I think it was 0-0 actually. I'm being a bit silly, but look, for Arsenal, they needed it. They needed it. Reason why I forgot, because Liverpool were playing Newcastle that day, so I was watching that game. So 2-0 Liverpool that day, by the way. And look, the inability to score has been a problem for Mikel Arteta, and I think that's why they find themselves 13 odd points behind Liverpool already. But today, they got what they deserved, and 7 goals was what they deserved. They probably deserved a bit more, but you reflect on games like this, and I'm sure Mikel Arteta will be looking at this as a real significant time. I think he can probably bench a load of players in the second leg, especially being at home at the Emirates, and they don't lose often there, Arsenal. So I think for them, it's really good that they're able to, kind of just have this 7-goal lead, 6-goal lead, and just take the eye off that game, because they know they're into the next round, and they're either going to be playing Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid, so it's not going to get any easier for Arsenal. And obviously Real Madrid beating Atletico 2-1, so it looks likely that they will be playing Real Madrid in the second leg for Arsenal. So I think it's very, very important now that they rest, they recover. They got Manchester United on the weekend, Arsenal, but this will be a real confidence booster for them, especially a lot of those players who have been under the scrutiny of the media, have been under the scrutiny of a load of pundits and fans. But this will kind of soften that blow a bit more. They're still in the Champions League, and they will be heading to the quarterfinals. I think that's almost certain. We're 99% certain. There's no way PSV go to the Emirates and overturn a 6-goal lead unless a crazy thing happens. And we've seen crazy things happen in football. But a 6-goal lead away at Arsenal, especially with the defenders they have, looks an impossible task for PSV. But look, Arsenal took advantage, and they find themselves in a very, very comfortable position to go and progress to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And who knows, if they beat Real Madrid, it won't be very, very far away, that final for Arsenal in Munich. And I think they need a run in Europe. They need a proper run. They haven't had one since, I'd say, the time they made the Europa League final, and they've really, really struggled to kind of replicate that form in Europe, especially even when they won the Europa League. Obviously knocked out by Olympiacos, Sporting Lisbon, last season by Bayern Munich, and this season they have to play Real Madrid or Atletico Madrid in the next round. So it doesn't get any easier for them. But I'm sure those Arsenal players will be up for the challenge. And you have to give credit when credit's due. They were dominant, and they got what they deserved. 7 goals for Arsenal, 1 conceded. Takes the gloss off the scoreline, but not as much as you think. They are going to the quarterfinals. That's for sure. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.